So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Uh, I was born in the Philippines, moved to Chicago when I was 12, and then was doing performance ever since then. From writing to dancing, singing, and then acting eventually. Afterwards, I moved to Milwaukee, Wisconsin to do AmeriCorps, which is the domestic Peace Corps. So I did volunteer work, but it was geared to low income and underprivileged youth, high school students who are predominantly Latino and Asian. So in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in the school that I went and taught at, there was a lot of Lao and Hmong population. And then I moved back to Chicago and went to grad school in UCLA and have been there ever since.
Hmm. Uh, what is one thing that we don't know about you just by looking at you?
That I'm a spoken word artist. That's such a weird question. I I actually what's it? Oh, I love to run. If you don't know me, that's one thing that I love to run. In fact, I run while I'm running lines. That's one thing I love doing.
You kind of already answered this, but do it again anyway, just for everyone's benefit. How old were you when you first started acting?
Well, I was in a boys' choir when I was 10 years old, and basically it's the Tiples de Santo Domingo in Manila, and you audition for it, and if you get in, you get your tuition fee waived. So my family was all about that. But I lived in the seminary for the first for 2 years, and then after that, when I moved to Chicago, for some reason I think like the universe told me that I don't have to be singing, so I found my other artistic traits, which is writing. And one of the things that I dealt with when I first moved to the States was the assimilate, assimilative process of becoming American, and my accent was really thick, so I couldn't even understand my English at that point. So I turned to writing. I had a teacher who who gave us a writing workshop, and I wrote, and I didn't know that I could do that. So that was at the age of 13. So and then throughout, I just kept on writing and then performing back to back, and I feel that it's um, completely connected.
Hmm. Could you tell us your favorite memory as a performer?
Oh my goodness, there's so many. Uh, I loved playing villains when I was much younger. So, and when I first started acting in Wisconsin, they didn't know what I was because I'm Filipino and a mixed race Filipino. So they weren't sure if I was Asian or Mexican or Latino. So I would play the gangbangers or the hood rat for that matter. But one of my favorite roles is playing Ferdinand Marcos, which is the dictator of the Philippines. That was at East West Players in 2005. 2005. That's what introduced me to the theater company. Other roles that I love playing are Paris from Romeo and Juliet. Chuck Mee's another one that I loved being a part of. And True Love and Orestes 2.0. I played Pylades in Orestes 2.0 and Edward in True Love. Oh, Gaveston, Edward II. Yeah, I was such a hood rat. But then when I got older, I think I, well, that's not true. I got more knowledge and zoned in. So I more introspective characters. So Nick in Romance of Magno Rubio and Alos, the story of Carlos Velosa, which I premiered here at HCAC. Yeah, those are some of the roles that I like.
So, we're always hearing the term making it with regards to actors. What level of success would you need to reach for you to be like, yeah, I've made it?
Oh, that's a good one. I think especially with actors who feel that this is their life's work, and not just trying to be famous. If you're trying to be famous, you're not going to last that long. It's not tangible. Um, but if you feel that this is your calling, and I did feel that it was my calling when I turned 24, and I said, I can't do anything else but do this. Um, I don't, as an actor and someone who's really into the craft of acting, it's never going to be enough. Because as you grow older, you become older as an actor, and then there are always more roles to perform. I can't play King Lear right now, or I can't play Oedipus, maybe in like 5 years. So there's always a goal of learning more work. And in regards to making it, I do feel that I've I am where I need to be. I'm very grateful for the work I've done, and that doesn't come. I take that with a grain of salt because it took about like 10, 12 years. They say it takes 10 years to make it in Hollywood or New York or wherever, Singapore. But I think the 10 years means, have you done enough work on yourself? So that question I take very seriously, and I think I've made it to where I need to be, if that makes any sense. Yeah.
Could you tell us who is your favorite actor or director?
I love Marlon Brando. Just old American canon actors. Marlon Brando, Pacino, De Niro, Idris Elba is a real inspiration. Uh, Benicio del Toro, Javier Bardem in any Pedro Almodovar films, but also female actors. I think I have more affinity with female actors with their depth. Kate Blanchett's popping into my mind right now, and who else? Meryl Streep. So many. There's so many of them. So many of them.
So, if you could act opposite or direct any actor in the world, who would it be?
Okay, Kurosawa and Fellini. So we have to do some serious seance going on. I would love to work with Fellini, Kurosawa, and Almodovar. Almodovar is a huge favorite of mine.
So now, could you tell us a little bit about the workshop that you are teaching or taught at HCAC?
What workshop? I'm just kidding. I'm serious. What workshop? Yeah. So Skin and Art, Creation of My Body, is a 2-week workshop, 6-day intensive, where we have 10 performers create a devised theater piece, and it's truly an ensemble piece of art. Um, we worked on a lot of personal narratives as well as movement, and we incorporated music in it as well. So the goal was to end up with a 15-minute presentation that we could show to others based on the whole ideology of skin and art and our perception of beauty, which I think is the heart of this piece of how do we see beauty? Is it based on society, what society tells us? Is based on our cultural background? Does media have something to play with it? Does our family have certain elements about them that they instill in us that allow us to see the world or see people in a very different way? And what was really amazing in this experience was it is not surface level. We go into the depths of these performers' experiences.
Giovanni, could you tell us what is your teaching philosophy?
Oh, I don't have one. Just kidding. Oh, I start out with breath. I was a voice and speech teacher for a very long time, for about 8 years. And I think that's really important for me because as a person who moved to a different country and as someone who's constantly working in different countries, assimilation and fitting in is one thing that I feel is very important for any human being. So, what really helped me through my childhood as I became hyphenated Filipino American or American and whatnot is voice and speech, and really learning how people sound, how people speak. In society, we call it like code switching, um, and so that's one of the tenets of my work as an artist and as an educator, making sure that people know how to speak, and there's no right or wrong, but the way to embody speaking and controlling your voice and your speech, that comes through breath. And then we get into movement. Movement's a big part of my work, just because I love to move. Musical theater was a background of mine, so movement is huge. So from like voice and speech, and then movement, and and I feel the method, I, the Strasbourg method changed my life. It's the I think I told Camille this is the moment I was doing Eugene O'Neill's Beyond the Horizon when I was in my second semester with Salome Jens, and it clicked because for about 6 months I didn't know what I was doing because I was so used to presentational acting, and physical acting and singing and dancing and all that stuff. But when I was able to tap into myself and my internal life, that changed me altogether. And even if I don't reference the method um, of Strasbourg and eventually Meisner, I utilize it in my work. And I think it's indicative in this workshop. We definitely get there.
Uh, what skills, values, or mindset do you most want to impart to your students?
Four things. I think these are my tenets. I've been talking a lot about me as an actor and a performer and getting into being an educator, but as a director and as an educator, it's very important that I abide by four things. First is being um, a visionary person. Visionary meaning really utilizing my imagination based on my background, what I've learned, what I see around me, and honing that vision. And then, but at the same token, the second part is being a collaborator and collaborating with people. Because if you collaborate with people, your vision can change. Because if you're open to other ideas, you could learn from them. And you're not, I don't feel like I'm an auteur director where I need to have control over everything. Number one, that's a lot of work and headache. You know, I think it's much better to open it up for collaborative process with other people. Um, so visionary, collaborative, and nurturing is key as a director. Mm, I think it's very important to be loving to your actors because they already come as an actor, and I am an actor. I think we are such sensitive creatures that there's an element of trying to please the director or just highly, I don't want to use emotional, but we're honing our emotions for a living. So you're constantly feeling, right? If that's what you do for a living, then you can't just like turn it off sometimes. So as a director and as a teacher of acting, you have to be nurturing. You have to be a listener, and that's really important. But the last one is being decisive. You put your foot down when you need to. Um, for instance, we have an ensemble of 10 performers, and they're highly intelligent performers. So if although we listen to everybody's ideas, it becomes hard when when all 11 ideas, if you're trying to please all 11 people, so that's the hard part. So being decisive in certain things is imperative. So a visionary collaborator and a nurturing, decisive director.
Could you tell us your favorite memory as a teacher?
There's so many. This is gonna sound weird. I think I've done my job if one of my performers cry. And I'm laughing. Because for me, I think that's what it is. Aha moment. For me, that's when I had my breakthrough. It's when I was able to let it out. And there's so many. There's so many important moments as an educator that I've witnessed. I'm trying to think of one. Hmm. I was doing realism, studio acting from from classical to realism, and oh yeah, I do this thing called auto drama, where people present their works about their life story, and there are so many moments in that exercise where I've seen people's lives transformed, cathartic in telling their stories. So I think I'm going to use that, using the auto drama.
And the last question is, what do you wish you'd known before you started in the acting entertainment industry?
What I wish I would have known is, man, these are good questions. I wish I had known not to be so scared. Yeah, it took me a really long time to say. Um, I'm just gonna turn it over. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. Uh, I'd say the first 8 years of my work was in pleasing everybody, pleasing my agent and my director and my teacher and everybody around me. And yeah, I was such a people pleaser, and it becomes hard when as an actor, you constantly have like 7 jobs going on at the same time, and there's a difference between being having integrity with each and every job as opposed to pleasing each and every job. Uh, with that in mind, I wish I had known to take care of myself. Really taking time to take care of myself, instead of like just going from one job to the other, and not even focusing on my own health. I after doing Imelda, I was teaching all day elementary school students and then performing at night, and I just didn't care. I didn't care about my body, and I got sick. Like I had to stop singing for about a year. They found stuff on my throat. So I think it's very important to know that it's important to have time for yourself and not to please everybody.
On that note, Gio, thank you so much for spending time with us, and we look forward to
Right,
seeing you
Marlon.
back in Singapore stroking Brando's face again.
Yes, his hair, fixing his hair.